Police have finally charged a man in connection to the murder of 2Pac Shakur in 1996. 25 years old, and what he was able to achieve in that time, none of us can compare. It felt like there was a cover-up and that we would never find out the truth or were involved in this. They blame P. Diddy, they blame Suge Knight. Suge Knight was in the car, and even he was suspected because 2Pac was going to leave his record label. And there was all that beef with the Notorious B.I.G. Even the police were suspects in this, because a lot of police officers were working when they were off duty for these crime gangs like Death Row, the record label that Suge Knight was head of, who 2Pac worked on, and P. Diddy a long time ago, that we would ever get the answers. 2Pac's mother was campaigning for decades to find out who did this to her son, and she has since died. There is no justice for anyone, really. It's too little too late, but at least we have an answer now. Now, let me take you back in time to the night of the murder, September 7th, 1996. This was the night of the Mike Tyson fight against Selden in Las Vegas. Tyson and 2Pac were very good friends. 2Pac had referenced Tyson in a lot of his songs. And as always, 2Pac, when he rolled up to these places, he was deep. He had all of his guys with him, and it was a problem for anyone who they recognized. Unfortunately, for a guy called Orlando Anderson, who was a Crip, a rival gang to the Bloods that 2Pac had with him, they spotted him in the lobby of the hotel where the fight was taking place. So you'll see the CCTV footage here in the hotel lobby. 2Pac had already attacked Orlando Anderson. They'd had a previous beef, and you can see the guy in the white here, that's Suge Knight, who is putting a beat down on this guy as well. They're kicking him, and as far as they're concerned, it's point proven. 2Pac is seen walking out of the hotel here, strutting as if he owns the place. Now, as far as we're aware, 2Pac and Suge then make the decision to go to a nightclub called the 662, which is the digits on your phone for MOB. It's mob-owned mafia type shit where they've owned this nightclub, and this is where they hang out. And this is the final photograph ever taken of 2Pac and Suge. Suge at the driver's side, 2Pac on the passenger side. Now, obviously, what was known at that moment was 2Pac pulled up at some traffic lights on the Las Vegas Strip, and another car, which was a white Cadillac, pulled up alongside and emptied the clip into the car. 2Pac was hit, killed. He did survive for about 6 days. I think it was 6 or 7 days after the initial shot went in, but he wasn't conscious. He'd been hit through the lungs, which had filled up with blood, and you know, he was never going to be the same again after that, which people didn't really accept, because he'd also been shot like a year before this and survived that. So 2Pac was like immortal and indestructible. So for him to actually be shot again, people kind of were just like, he'll pull through. Because he didn't die immediately, people just believed he'd pull through. Orlando Anderson was obviously the main suspect, being that he was the guy who got jumped by these guys. However, he was killed not long after this, and as were a lot of people, as you can imagine, because in these wars, that's the way it was. But one guy who was in the car didn't get killed. And unfortunately for him, he's decided to do YouTube interviews about 20 odd years later and has basically incriminated himself. Introducing Keefe D.
Death Row guys were going to have a concert at the 662 Club. So we went to the 662 Club. 2Pac and Suge, they didn't ever show up. So we left.
So Orlando and his guys were actually waiting at this 662 Club, waiting for Suge Knight and 2Pac. They didn't show up, so these guys went out looking for them.
All the chicks was like, 2Pac, 2Pac, and he was like, hey, like a celebrity, like he was in the parade. He wouldn't even been out the window. We would have never seen him. My partner busted yooo. When we pulled up, I was in the front seat.
You said the shots came from the back. Big Dre, Orlando. Who shot 2Pac?
The keeper for the code of the streets. It just came from the back seat, bro.
So he's claiming, oh, it came from the back seat, I was in the passenger seat. I mean, you would, wouldn't you? Like, because what he's trying to do here is get all the clout for being involved and allude to the fact that it was me, but Yeah, it came from the backseat. And those guys just so happen to be dead. A likely story. And the fact is, he's been doing interviews about this for years now. It kind of goes back to what Chris Rock once said about if you ever want to get away with a murder, just put a demo tape in the pocket of whoever you kill, because police don't care about rapper deaths. These are interviews from years ago. Keefy D, I feel remorse for Tupac, but attacking Orlando gave us the green light. This is 4 years ago. How it took this long is insane. So this is the mugshot of Keefy D, aka Dwayne Davis, and he's taken into custody by Las Vegas detectives. He's 60 years old, and the brother of Tupac, Mo Preem, who is his stepbrother, has actually slammed detectives and said, we've been through decades of pain. They've known about this guy. He's been running his mouth for years, so why now? That is the interesting thing. They've clearly known about this guy for a long time. What has changed? Is someone not paying up to the cops who were keeping him, safe? Maybe. There's no way that they've just randomly thought, we'll get him now. This was 4 years ago he was given these interviews. So Chief Deputy District Attorney Mark Giacomo has described Davis as an on-ground, on-site commander who ordered the death of Shakur. So while he may not have been the one to pull the trigger because he was in the front, as he said, it came from the back, he's probably handed them the gun, and I think there's even footage of him saying that. So now, whether or not he pulled the trigger, he was in command, and they are going to charge him as if he ordered the death.
For 27 years, the family of Tupac Shakur has been waiting for justice.
This guy is bragging as if we finally cracked it. Mate, the guy was doing YouTube interviews 4 years ago, basically telling you, leading every breadcrumb there, yeah, it was me.
To announce the arrest of 60-year-old Dwayne Keith Davis, a.k.a. Keefy D, for the murder of Tupac Shakur. Well, I know there's been many people who did not believe that the murder of Tupac Shakur was important to this police department. I'm here to tell you that was simply not the case.
You can't give it, I told you so, and it took you 27 years, mate. It's still, sorry it took this long, but at least we got the guy. You don't get to gloat now. This man's doing a victory lap. Who's laughing now, huh? Still the criminal. He spent the majority of his life as a free man. He was just about to collect his old age pensioner bus pass, and now you're locking him up. His life's basically over anyway.
Our goal at LVMPD has always been to hold those accountable and responsible for Tupac's violent murder accountable. Just like we do for every homicide victim in our city.
He's just really using this as an opportunity to do a bit of good PR. So let's go back to the cop now who found Tupac at the scene of the crime and actually held Tupac as he took some of his last conscious breaths. Check this out. This man doesn't live far from Keefy D. They live like a couple of streets away from each other. And this is the guy who was investigating the case. They always say it's the one closest to you.
Most everybody who is involved in this whole incident is dead at this point. So I think, you run your mouth, you talk yourself into a search warrant. Maybe you've even talked yourself into a murder charge. We don't know that yet.
We do now, because he has been charged with murder, and they have found bullets in the house. Bullets that potentially could link him to the murder. It's unlikely after 27 years that they'd be the same bullets, but apparently they potentially are from a similar gun, and they're going to obviously run those checks. The reason this gets even more interesting now is because of who Keefy D is linked to. There was always speculation that P. Diddy was the one who was ordering the hit on Tupac because they'd had long-standing beef. Tupac was talking mad shit about him, and also P. Diddy publicly had put a warrant out for a death row chain that they all used to wear. He put money out saying, if you bring me one of those, I'm going to give you whatever it was. And you don't get chains like that but peacefully, yeah? So he'd already made threats in that way. And the problem for P. Diddy is Keefy D has publicly spoken about looking after P. Diddy.
So I want to backtrack. You said that you was on top of the world until you met Puffy. What you mean by that?
Man, shit, I was getting 300 kilos a month, man, balling, man. Brother Love, come show some love. That's all I can fucking say. Show some love, Brother Love. Shit. Brother, I be seeing you doing your little pretty dance and all that, man. Show some love, homie. Come on, man, don't be like that, Brother Love. I was on top of the world till I met your motherfucking ass, dude. Shit is wrong, dude. Come on, homie. I need something, throw a dog a bone or something. Fuck.
To convert that